Okay, so let's add some additional formatting to this ID column. That's one addition we want to make, and then we also want to add a transactions column. So we're going to do that right now. Da, 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 da. Okay. Assets to token IDs. Let's say we're going to change this function up a little bit. Results is equal to that. Say for A and assets. Da, da, da. Yes, we also need the contract, or maybe we don't, because number of sales, background color, image URL, preview, thumbnail, asset contract. Okay, so that is what we want. So we're going to say contract is equal to, we're going to do a asset contract, and then we're going to say address. Okay. And then we have our token ID. So token ID is equal to a token ID. Okay, so then what we're going to do is we're going to create a okay, wow, okay. We're just going to keep it here. We're going to take the changes we just made to this function and put it into a separate one, just to make it, just keep things separate. So we're going to call this token IDs to token ID links, and we're going to say token IDs. Okay, and then we're going to say return. Wait, no, we have to do it here, I think. Yeah, because, crap. We have to do it here because that's where we get the contract value here. So, my bad. So we're going to call this token ID URL is equal to, or no, HTML is we're going to do a link to Etherscan. So how is an Etherscan address formatted? So address, and then, so it's address, and then, no. We're not going to do Etherscan. We're going to do an OpenSea URL instead. So we're going to take this, and then here is the address, and then here's the ID. So we're going to put that here, and let's see, do we want split this over? Okay. Address, and then token ID. Coolio. Okay. Then once we have that, let me say results.append token ID HTML, and we're going to return the results. So there's that. Now to get the transaction hash, we want, okay, so there's the block hash, which we may want that. Okay. We're just going to start with this. Okay, there's the block number, block hash, from account, address. Where's that transaction hash? There we go. So transaction hash. Cool. So we're going to call this transactions to I hate how long my functions are. So unnecessary. Transactions to transaction hashes. Okay, so transactions. And we're going to say results is equal to that. We're going to say for transaction and transactions, we want to get the transaction hash. All right. And then we want to transaction hash HTML. We want to get the URL to this transaction in Etherscan. So we're going to do a tag linking to we're just going to say transaction hash. We're just going to do to the we're just going to get the first 20 characters and put a ... there, and then a tag. Okay, so this is going to be https etherscan.io / I'm guessing it's Ethereum transactions, TX, and then the transaction hash. So you're going to say TX transaction hash. Nice. So we're going to say results.append. We're going to append that HTML snippet that we just made, and we're going to return the results. Cool. All right, so I wonder if there's a date time. That'd be so cool if... Okay, so that was when it was created. Was that when... What was created? Date. That's all we have. Wait. Create date. Create date. Potentially. Now let's see when this sale was made. 2021, March 31st. March 31st, which today is the 31st. So that looks right to me. So we have an ability to get the date. Now what we're going to do is we're going to, and it's pretty nice how they include the transaction hash on the date, but we're going to do the block hash instead. Yeah. So we're going to our total prices to ethers, and we're going to say created dates to what do you want to convert it to? date links. Date links to date to block links. So complicated, but you know, whatever. Created date. That's what we want. So created dates, and then we want the blocks, the block hashes. So results, so list for created date and created dates. Or actually, we're going to create a zip list. So we're going to say block hash and zip created date, created dates, block hashes. We're going to say date to block link is equal to, we want the href2 https, we want etherscan.io / block / block hash. Okay. And then we're going to put in the date. So how's the date formatted here? Okay, so there's this great library called Maya that I'm going to use. And so what Maya is a it can convert various formatted date strings to datetime objects, which you know, you don't have to worry so much about the formatting, it just does it for you. So that's what I'm going to do. Maya, and this is how it works. So datetime is maya.when created date, and then you just say .datetime, just like that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to say the datetime string, and we're going to format it to something like this. We're going to do the month to the date, and then the year. Cool. So then we're going to put that right there and close this tag. Then results dot append date to block link, and return the results. Okay, so we have our new transformation functions. Now we're going to split this to the right and let us add to our very, very long string here. And we're going to call this transaction. I believe it's transaction. You know what? We're going to call this TXN hash. Or no, just TXN. Keep it short. And then we're going to say transactions, or no, we got to add that thing here. Transactions to transaction hashes, and we're going to get the transaction column. Now our next one is, let's see, we're going to call this date is equal to created dates to date to block links. And then we're going to get the created date, and then the, I believe it's the block. How do we get the block column? All right, so that's the block hash, which that is what we want. Okay, so it is in the transaction column. So well, how do we find it in, let's see, if we wanted to look up a block, you know, okay, so it takes not the block hash, but the block ID. So let's make sure we don't have, okay, so it's not the block hash, it's the block number. The reason I'm so particular with my wording here is so I don't have to leave comments in my code. Like, I don't believe that. Like, your code should just be able to understand someone's code just by looking at the code. My opinion. Let's see. Just my opinion. Block nums. Or no, this is going to be blocks. Okay. So blocks for block, and then the block number okay, where is the block number? So that's inside of, that's 2, 5, that. Okay, so it is in the transaction. So we have to pass in the transaction. All right, so that is, okay, yeah, we can just pass in transaction. Cool. All right. All right, back to this. We're going to say transactions. Transactions, and then we're going to say for created date, transaction, and transactions. And then we're going to say transaction, and then the block number. Block number. Coolio. Right. So there's that. Now. Open this guy back up. Okay. So we have our date now. Now, I think that's it. I think that's all for our transformation functions. So let us try to run this guy. And we're probably going to have errors. Yup. 89. And what did we forget this time? Ah, I see. That's why we're just going to define it up here. Transaction block number. Then block num. There we go. And this is not a link because I believe we have to mark it safe somehow. So how do we do that? And we need to add the date column back in as well. So let's do the date column. Let's see, token ID. Let's say, you know what, we're gonna add it as, no, we're gonna add it to the end. Date. Okay. And then the transaction, let's see, we're gonna have that be right here. Call this transaction. Okay, now we have to go to pandas. Okay, let's see. So render links. No, that wasn't it. It was escape. That's what it was. So we're going to say escape is true. There we go. That didn't seem to work. Why is that? Is it false? There we go. Nice.